Being a budget player can be difficult sometimes, normally due to the restriction of having a lack of shiny cardboard. But as a budget player myself, it can be fun to deck build sometimes with a lot of limited restrictions. So, just here are some tips about how to play the game on a budget. So, first of all, you've got to kind of figure out what type of player are you. If you're brand new to the game and you don't really want to spend that much, picking up 3 structure decks is an extremely good place to start. Everybody on YouTube who plays Yu-Gi-Oh recommends 3 structure decks nearly always, just because of how versatile it is. A structure deck has a clear strategy. You get 3 of every single card in the deck, so you have a good amount of consistency. And usually, a lot of modern structure decks have a good amount of staple cards as well, which really helps support your strategy. Now, if you're a more semi-experienced player and you've been playing for a while on a budget and you want to know some just general tips on how to play a little bit better, it does become way more of a grey area. This can also include new players, I suppose, but also normally the more competitive a deck, the more expensive the deck is. So a majority of budget players have to place a rogue deck instead of something competitive, because a complete rogue strategy is just much, much better than a weaker meta strategy. But if you're willing to invest a little more, you can play a good amount of meta strategies. Examples right now kind of include Kashtira. If you're willing to put in a little bit more of your budget than you feel comfortable, well, probably not that you feel comfortable, but if you really, really want to play Kashtira, it is possible to play it more on a budget. It's at this point in the video where I have to kind of ask the question, what actually is a budget player? Because that's a very difficult question to answer, because we all know what a budget player is, but we don't know a specific definition for it. There's no specific price range to being a budget player, and it differs from person to person, and it's a completely normal thing. And every player is going to have a different experience playing on a budget, and even if 2 people have the same budget, they're going to spend it in completely different ways. So this leads us to our first important question. This honestly really depends on the type of decks you play, casual or competitive. Casual decks tend to be cheaper, except when they're not, like with DM, but typically are played to more have fun with a much weaker, usually older strategy, whereas competitive strategies focus purely on winning most of the time. This is just like a side note here that's very important for this video, but if you're gonna play Yu-Gi-Oh! On a budget, have fun doing it. It doesn't matter what part of the game you personally find fun, but take that as your basis and help find out what cards to buy. I can't personally say what is the most fun, as that's up to personal preference, but I really recommend figuring out what it is for you, as we're all here to have fun playing the game. But for both of these cases, you want to ask yourself, how much money are you willing to spend on this game each month? It doesn't matter how low it is, but setting yourself an actual budget helps view what decks are in your budget range. From here, you can kind of find a strategy that you enjoy playing. Make sure that to playtest it a lot, though. You don't want to spend your limited budget on something which you don't enjoy playing and end up just, I don't know, trading away or selling to pick up something that you do, because you don't really want to waste money. Nobody wants to waste money, but it's a lot more difficult to waste money when you only have a limited amount to burn. I'm going to cover a big question now, which most budget players have to ask, and it's, do I buy staple cards or singles in one archetype for a strategy? Most people answer this question with staples, because you can use them in a myriad of strategies, and while I have to agree that it is very, well, I do have to agree with that, it is very dependent on you and the deck you're playing. If you don't like playing a popular staple card, then just don't play it. Play stuff that you think is good or you enjoy playing. Like, floodgates aren't that fun, but if you prefer a certain floodgates over others, or just don't like playing floodgates in general, even if floodgates are in the meta game right now, just don't play floodgates at all. What you think will improve your deck is more dependent on you. A random staple might not improve your deck as much as getting a new engine piece or a new combo card to, I don't know, play your deck in a more advanced way. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a mathematical aspect that most people don't like going into, but if you do, you can easily find your weaknesses in your deck. I sometimes just look over a strategy and kind of think about what counters this extremely easily, what is it weak to, and just think about how could I alleviate that weakness and alter my deck to make it better. What I have to say for this section is if you don't have to play meta stables or singles, just play what you can afford, even if it isn't that great right now. So long as you've figured out that it specifically works for your strategy. You don't want to just chuck something random in there just because you think it might work. I want to mention this last point. Don't worry about being a budget player. It can sometimes feel like a huge unsolvable disadvantage, but it's fine to be the underdog. It doesn't place you at a disadvantage. It takes a lot more effort to win, but you can still win and show other people just how skilled you are as a player. That's like roughly where this video ends. It's just a little discussion that I wanted to have and make just because it's been on my mind for a while and I thought I might as well get all this information off my chest. If you need anything from me or just a more in-depth discussion about specific aspects of this, feel free to to leave a comment. I'll most likely respond to it and just look over this video over the next, I don't know, month or so. So if you really just have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm here. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe as well if you feel like it, I guess. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.